Welcome to Keeping It Real with Dr. Linda Chinn. This is the podcast where real life choices meet biblical truth without the fluff. Tune in every second and fourth Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as Dr. Chinn shares faith-filled, practical insights to navigate everyday challenges. Get ready for real talk, real life, and real answers.
Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real with Dr. Linda Chinn. I am Audrey Bell Kearney, the producer of the show. Listen, I'm excited. If you guys have not noticed, there's a little QR code up in the upper right-hand corner, upper left-hand corner, depending on how you're looking at us right now. There's a little QR code. We want you to, and I wanted to say this right out the gate, just in case you get a chance to, watch a little bit of the show but miss it. I didn't want to put it at the end. Scan that QR code, and that's going to take you directly to Dr. Chinn's podcast page where you can subscribe to the show. So do us a favor, scan it now, because we know that a lot of people are watching this show on YouTube TV, and we want to make sure that we get this information out to as many people as possible. So I wanted to say that right at the beginning of the show. Scan the little QR code up in the upper left-hand corner right there. It's going to take you directly to the page where you can subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. I normally say this at the end of the show, but I know people drop in and they drop off. So before you drop off, I wanted you to scan that QR code. So go ahead, do us a favor, scan that code. Dr. Chinn has another great guest with us today. We're going to be talking about leadership indeed. Leadership indeed. So without further ado, I will bring up her and her guest, Reverend Christopher. Hold on one second. Let's welcome him to the stage. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So Dr. Chinn, we can have people just scan the little QR code because you all over the place and you're expanding and people are watching you on YouTube TV. What's nice about this is when people are watching you on YouTube TV, it's on their TV screen. And now people can scan the QR code with their phone and subscribe to the show because you have great guests on doing great work. And we want to make sure that you're reaching as many people as possible. So
thank you. Thank you so much for all that you do. I truly appreciate you. You stretch me and you help me grow. And we look forward to hearing from you at the end because I'm sure Dr. Boyd is going to bring some nuggets. I'm sure of it.
Right. And I'll be back at the end. Have a great show.
Andre. Boyd, thank you for being our guest today.
Yes, ma'am. My pleasure.
I appreciate you. We've known each other for several years, really. About 2 decades, really about 20 years, believe it or not.
God bless us all.
God bless us all. God bless us all. And you know how you watch people or you see people, even though you're not intentionally watching them. And that's the kind of person that you are, where people watch you more than we can hear you, because what you do really does speak volumes. And I consider you, this is truly my opinion, I consider you an expert in leadership. And so I just want to tell the people a little bit about you, that he is the general manager of the Riverside Epicenter there in Austell, Georgia. And it is a 113,000 square foot LEED silver multi-service venue. Wonderful place if you want to have a venue, a wedding, sweet 16 party, a 50-year-old party, family reunion, wonderful, bowling, all of that. It's got wonderful things to do there. But he also serves as a trustee of the University of Lynchburg. He's a past president of South Cobb Business Association. He was a board chair of Cobb Collaborative, blending market and leadership, and is faith-rooted and a community impact. And certainly he does have community impact. He teaches entrepreneurial and authentic leadership as an adjunct professor and on leadership, legacy, and person and purpose. But I love that the whole thing of purpose and legacy and leadership is what he's focused on, because it speaks volumes in his life, you'll know. His personal mission is to provide proactive life preparation strategies for youth. I love that. Life preparation strategies for youth, church, and business leaders. And he's married to a wonderful woman, Jennifer. Yes, he is. And I know his beautiful wife. And he is the father of Jennifer's and his children, which are Christina, Jordan, and Christopher. Welcome to the show. And if I didn't mention anything that you want to mention about yourself, this is your time, Doc.
No, very grateful to be here, and thank you for the opportunity for sure. And so appreciate your friendship too over these years, almost 2 decades. God bless us all.
I know. Time flies. But he's the kind of person that I saw before I heard. And I hope you all understand what we're saying. So just to ask a few questions, when you hear the term leader, what comes to your mind?
Sure. And again, just to reiterate, thank you for the opportunity to share with you and your audience. Leader. Well, let me just tell you how my leadership journey began. I did not ask to be a leader. Did not. And if they had asked me to raise my hand and lead something, I would not have raised my hand.
Wow.
I was literally tapped on the shoulder and told I was going to do this, right?
Wow.
It began with my peers and continued with my coaches and continued with other leaders that I respected quite well. And I assumed that they saw something that they recognized as a trait that would be helpful to others. And so therefore, I was placed into positions of leadership, literally. And I think that just goes to show that our gifts make room for us and bring us before great people. And so I'm grateful that my gifts shined in a way that people recognize it.
Yeah.
Let your light so shine before men that they might see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. And I'm grateful that happened. And so as a result of that, I was placed into a variety of different roles. When I was in high school, I became the captain of our basketball team, not because our coach placed me there, but because my teammates did. Right.
Wow.
In high school, I was one of the leaders and the commanders of our ROTC corps, and not because the leaders of the organization placed me there, but my peers did. When I was in college, I had the privilege of serving in student government up to and including serving as the student government president of our university. And not because, some adult placed me there, but because, my peers did. And so I'm grateful, so when I hear the term leadership, it really does come down to a servanthood. I mean, to an entrusting of service. I'm grateful that has always been my mindset, that leadership is all about service to others. And that posture has truly opened doors of opportunity for me that I never would have imagined. So that is what leadership is to me. It's truly about service.
I love it. I love it. I'm telling you, that's like I said, I saw you. We'll get that. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but what are some key things do you think leaders should do habitually to stay sharp? Do you have anything that you do habitually to stay sharp as a leader?
Sure. And, the thing about habits are, they are formed over time for sure. I'm a communicator in terms of, so I enjoy written communication. So writing is certainly something that does keep me engaged and sharp. So writing in my journal and that sort of thing, but also being around other leaders. I mean, that is one of the best, some things are caught and other things are taught, but more is caught than is taught. So being around people who espouse strong leadership qualities is one way to grow as a leader. And so I'm grateful again to have been in the presence of people who are strong leaders. And again, so I could absorb. So writing, communicating, certainly, being in an environment where leadership is part of the atmosphere. But also, reading books, right? Our lives are shaped by the books we read, the experiences we have, and the people that we meet. And so if we want to grow our leadership, we need to read books that are going to help us to elevate. Also need to be around people who are going to help us to grow to that place of leadership that we espouse to grow to, and also have experiences that will shape us, because those are ultimately the things that help us to grow, not only our leadership, but also just the way we see the world. And as we see more, we can absolutely be able to influence more in others as they grow to their potential as well.
I love that. And I also love that you came out the gate talking about having coaches. And that's a wonderful part of your personality, is the humility. in you. You know, a lot of people think, and I say at your level because I understand what you do in community and what you do in different areas, Eagle Scouts, whatever it is, right? Is that you're humble enough to know that you have coaches. Many people at your level will think, you know, that they have arrived. And so that's good to hear. So then let me ask this question. Do you coach people in leadership skills
Well, it's a very
and
good
help
good
develop?
question. Yeah, one of the things. So I've had the privilege of serving as one of our pastors at Word of Faith Family Worship Cathedral for a lot of years, and one of the lessons that Bishop Bronner, our senior pastors, taught is about it's the principle of the vessel, right? Meaning that in order for us to add more content to who we are and the way that we can serve the world, we have to be willing to pour out what's in us. Right. So certainly I have a responsibility to seek people um, who can benefit from the content that's on the inside of me and pour out of myself in order to receive more into my vessel and even grow my vessel. And so yes is the answer. I mean, and the thing that wisdom teaches you and experience teaches you is everybody does not benefit from your experience of life. And so, again,
Mhm.
as a person who values others and values the gifts of others, it's incumbent upon me to make sure I'm seeking out people who can benefit from the experiences that I've had and be
Mhm.
intentional about pouring into them. Now, there's both a follower responsibility, mentee responsibility, as well as a mentor responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
So certainly, people have to identify themselves, but also I have to be, again, mature and humble enough to be able to recognize a gift in someone and be able to speak to it so that
Mhm.
they can grow to their potential. It's um, recognizing the potential of others is a gift. It is
Mhm.
absolutely a gift.
Mhm.
We all have potential, but we have our greatest potential in our areas of strength. And so being able to see the strengths of others and identify something in common with others, that's a gift. And so I think as leaders, we have a responsibility to see others who are operating in a gift that's similar to ours and then be intentional about pouring into them as they are, as they are mature enough to receive. So.
Mhm. Mhm. So you talked about how you help youth develop life strategies, life preparation strategies. What areas, where do you do that?
Well, as my personal mission statement says, and I was when I was 21 years old. I mean, it occurred to me the gifts that God had really placed in my life, and so that's where my personal mission statement was really developed. Where I'm a provider of proactive life preparation strategies for youth, church, and business leaders around the world. And so I was 21 years old when I wrote this statement, right? So I have had the privilege and the experience of life of um, I mean, literally ministering to young people and to business leaders and to community members in different places around the country and around the world. I remember when you remember the Columbine shootings that occurred many years ago. I had the
Yeah.
privilege as part of an organization when I was 21, 22 years old, traveling out to Colorado to speak to young people about the importance of just loving each other, right, and
Mhm.
loving their community. So speaking to young people has been part of my experience of life, since I was young.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I'm grateful that has certainly been a common staple throughout my experience of life. And even now, as I work with more senior leaders, I mean, identifying again the gifts that are in folks and being able to speak to those things. And again, more is caught than is taught. So I'm grateful that even in my day-to-day activity, I'm able to engage with people in a way that because and I can tell that people are picking up things that I'm putting down.
Mhm.
uh,
You're getting older.
because they repeat what I say, whether it be in jest or in just in common conversation with other people, and I certainly appreciate that. Even my son, I mean, the fact that he can repeat to other people the
Yeah.
things that I've shared with him,
Yeah.
just in our quiet time conversation in the car,
Yeah.
and people receive it from him in a way that I never could offer it. But, as a young person, I mean, I'm grateful that I've had the privilege of mentoring even my own children,
Yeah,
the way that they
that's
then
huge.
are able to impart to other people. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a provider of proactive life preparation strategies for youth, church, and business leaders around the world. And I'm grateful that the experience of life has indeed taken me down each of those channels.
I love it. I love it. So tell us some of the things. How do you know when to do something yourself or when to delegate?
Well, that's a great question. I do recognize that I have my own limitations and my own areas of strength and my areas of weakness. And so certainly um, identifying people who have strengths in areas where I am weak, those are definitely the places where, I need to focus my delegation. But also, I mean, there are only so many hours in a day.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognize that if I focus on doing things that someone else can do, then I'm not maximizing the skill set. So there are things that only I can do as a leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
Simply
Mm-hmm.
because, again, we have limitations. There are only so many hours in a day. Um, but if I give my time to things that other people are able to do, meaning they have the character, the competence, and the chemistry to, with our culture to be able to execute those things. If I give my time to those things, then there are other things that only I can do that won't get done.
Yeah.
Right. So my job as a leader is to identify, first and foremost, what are the things that only I can do, and then focus on giving at least 80% of my time to those things, right? That's the 80-20-20 rule, the
Yeah.
Pareto principle,
Pareto
right?
principle. Mm-hmm.
If I give 80% of my time to the things that only I can do, and make sure I delegate that 20% to others, so who are capable, who have the skill set to do those things, then we'll be much more effective as an organization in terms of achieving the goals that we set out for. So again, my job is to recognize what are the things that only I can do, and give my time to those things. There is a passage of scripture in Exodus, I think it's Exodus chapter 18, where Moses and his father-in-law Jethro were talking about this whole principle of delegation.
Doing too much. Yeah.
And what Jethro told Moses was, this thing that you are trying to do is too great for you to handle.
Yeah.
And he said, divide up the work and give it to people who are able-bodied.
Yes.
Right? People who have the capacity to be able to do, some of these other things. He said, but you, Moses, do the things that only you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, if you will follow this advice, you and the people that you serve with will go home in peace.
Hallelujah.
And I'm a big fan of going home in peace.
Hello.
But not just me, right? I want the people that I serve alongside to also go home in peace.
Yes.
But if we all are focused on, feeling like we got to handle everything ourselves, and I'm not, and this is the other part of it. When I try to do everything myself, I don't give opportunity for the people around me to develop themselves, right? To grow to their potential, right? And we all have a journey that we have to take. So, so my job as a leader is to see and identify the skill set in other people, and then match them with opportunities to serve that maximize their strengths, right? And when I do that and do that effectively, I can focus on doing the things that only I can do. And then we all get to go home at a reasonable time and in peace, right?
Yes.
And not in pieces.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's one of the main roles of a leader, is to make sure that just people enjoy the experience of being together. Enjoy the experience of doing life together. We spend more time at work than we do typically at home, right?
Especially at an event center.
God bless us all, right?
Yeah.
And so we want to enjoy the experience of being together. And the only way that happens is, yes, it's a heavy load to lift, without question.
Yeah.
But we got to make sure that the load is balanced as possible, so that we all can enjoy the experience of being together and also enjoy the experience of going home.
Hello. I love it. So what would you say if you were looking at staff and looking at the different areas where you work with people and interact with people? What are some of the 3 Give us 3 characteristics that you think every leader should possess, regardless of what they do.
And I just talked about it a minute ago. One of the
Mhm.
things we talk about in the staff that we look for to be part of our team is 3 characteristics: character, competence, and chemistry with our culture. Character, competence, and chemistry with our culture. It's such an important thing that we actually put it in the offer letters when we send them to people to come and join our organization. So character, everything begins with character, right? Um, Character will keep me where my talent and skill can only open the door to, right? My
Yes.
talents might open the door, but character is what will keep me there inside
Yes.
the door, right? Character is non-negotiable. So we want to make sure that we have people who, as best we can tell, reflect an attitude of character that is reflective of the type of organization we want to have, right? And we try to screen that as best we can, but also competence, right? We got to know something. It's not just about people having a feel good moment, right? You
Mhm.
can have a whole bunch of puppy dogs who will um, speak the language and all of that sort of thing, and carry the water and do the tasks that you want them to do. But can they actually grow to a place where they can operate independently? All right. Do
Yes.
they have competence to the point where they can graduate to a high level of maturity in whatever the task is you're asking them to do? We want to have people of competence who can actually do the work and do it to a high level of excellence.
Mhm.
So you got to have character, you got to have competence, and then also chemistry with our culture. And I'm intentional about the way that we say that. We want to have people who are a reflection of the culture we're trying to create here, meaning
Mhm.
that they espouse the values that we want to have visible in our environment.
Mhm.
Values are things that you can either hear a person say or see a person do. If you don't see them, if you don't hear them say it, and if you don't see them do it, it's not a value. They may say it, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Verbalize it, but if it's not executed in the actual experience of of what they do, then it's not truly a value. And so we want people who can come alongside and be a reflection of what we hope to build in
Mhm.
our environment, in our organization. And so character, competence, and chemistry with our culture, those are the things that we look for and the people we want to connect with. And if we're doing those things well, we will grow to a level of excellence that ultimately we think would be attractive to others to want to come alongside, both staff as well as clients, right?
Mhm.
Clients are attracted to organizations that stand for something, right?
Yes.
That have value and worth and meaning other than just providing a service. We want to be that kind of place where people are attracted to, right? Not just that they happen upon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what we strive to have. And answering your question, those are the 3 types of characteristics we look for in people.
I love that. And the reason why I wanted to do this episode on leadership is because we throw that word around a lot. Um, oh, this one's a leader, I'm a leader, and contact the leaders and the leaders and the leaders and the leaders. But I have seen over the years that many people um, profess to be in leadership roles, and after a while, I have to question it because a person calls themselves a leader does not make them a leader. Because someone else calls you a leader doesn't make you a leader. So, in your mind, what makes a person a leader?
Well, let me just be clear once again. As I started out, I did not seek out leadership. Okay. Leadership found me. But I will say that once my appetite was wet and once I understood, my grandfather, when I was 3 years old, taught me and my twin brother the importance of treating people with respect.
Mm.
Right. And he started out with the lesson of saying yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and yes, sir, and no, sir. And I got to tell you, from the time I was in school till this very point in life, just those words, yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and yes, sir, and no, sir, treating people with respect has opened so many doors for me, doors that I never would have imagined would have opened to me. What I came to learn when I was in high school that what my grandfather was also teaching me was about attitude. And I learned that from my coach, my high school basketball coach, who gave us a reading by Charles Swindoll that was titled Attitude. And actually, I'll share the reading with you. It says, the longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than the past. It's more important than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes, than what other people think or say or do. It's more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, or home. The remarkable thing is we all have a choice every day regarding our attitude. We cannot change the fact that people act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. And then this is my favorite part of the reading. It says, I am convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes, right? That's Attitude by Charles Swindoll. So what I did not appreciate when I was 3 years old, that not only was my grandfather teaching me about respect for other people, he was also teaching me about attitude. And so respect for others and attitude took me into leadership, which again is about service, right? And so when I appreciate that, again, life is 10% what happens to me, 90% how I react to it. So stuff is going to happen, right?
Inevitably.
That's just the nature of living life. Stuff is going to happen. Now, I get to choose, though, how I respond to it.
Yeah.
So if I get to choose how I respond to it, and I'm always operating from a posture of respect for other people, then in my leadership, it inevitably becomes about service to other people, making sure that I am in position to meet the needs, no matter what the situation is that arises. Right?
Say that again. I love it.
So my leadership is all about meeting the needs that people may have, no matter what that situation might no matter what the situation might be. So it might be a crisis moment, or it might be that things are all, pie in the sky.
Yeah.
But no matter whatever state I find myself in, I find myself in a place of contentment, and I never give up my power to respect people and to have a good attitude, because that's where the spirit of service lives. And so, my grandfather taught me that when I was 3 years old, about respect for other people.
Wow.
My high school basketball coach taught me about attitude. And those things have opened more doors for me that, again, I never would have imagined. I mean, I've been places and met people and done things that I never would have had opportunity to experience had it not been for those lessons having been taught to me, from the time when I was an infant.
So I love the servanthood, and I love that. A friend of mine, we were talking yesterday about some of the experiences we had when we first were licensed to minister and came into the ministry, and we talked about how when there was an event and they would have food served, that there was a head table, and we both laughed at an experience. And she said, remember when they used to get mad at you because you used to be walking around serving the people? And I thought, yeah, because I didn't get the whole head table thing. I didn't care for the whole head table thing. And even when you think about it, scripture has the people sitting and the disciples serving the people, right? Not the people serving the disciples. And so that's what I wanted to have this topic, because indeed, not just, indeed. So I mean, in what you do, you are a leader indeed in what you do. I see the deeds. I see the servanthood. You see you rolling up your sleeves and picking up and putting down. And I've seen you stand before people and let people talk. I've seen you when you're having a one-on-one conversation with people. It's like they're the only person in the room. They're the only person that matters. And I don't know why, but I'm getting really emotional as I think about it, particularly because a lot of people don't feel heard. A lot of people don't feel like they're heard, and you're really, really good at that. So whether you were looking for my leadership role or not, I'm glad that people saw that in you. I mean, it's really touching, and especially even as you serve the root. So I want to ask you, as you give people opportunities to grow, what is your basic method of following up or ensuring that the task was completed?
Well, one of the things that Bishop Bronner says often is people don't do what you expect, they do what you inspect. Right. Now I will say this, I used to teach a course in situational leadership, and there are 4 leadership styles. There's directing, coaching, supporting, and delegating. Directing, coaching, supporting, and delegating. And so my natural leadership style, I mean, the place I gravitate toward most often is delegating. I've had the great privilege, for most of my career of leading high capacity leaders, right? So, meaning, and a lot of times with high capacity leaders, they are chomping at the bit to give you feedback about how they have accomplished the tasks that they were assigned, right? So as a result, I don't have to do a lot of follow up with with high capacity leaders, and again, that's been a great blessing. But I do recognize that as a leader, again, my job, there are 4 leadership styles: coaching, directing, coaching, supporting, and delegating.
Yeah.
Directing, coaching, supporting, and delegating. Now, my job as a leader is to match my leadership style with the needs of the person, right? To be flexible, to match my leadership style with the needs of the person. Many people think that it's the follower's job to meet you where you are, but no, leadership is all about meeting the follower where they are and giving them the type of leadership that's going to help them to elevate and grow to their potential, right? So if a person is new to a task, my job is to make sure that I'm providing the direction that's going to help them to execute that task well. Right? Because I want them to grow so that they can operate well without supervision. That's ultimately the only way that happens is if they understand what the task is. So I have to define the goal for them. I have to lay out what those tasks are that they have to that need to be accomplished. I have to even instill what the work behaviors need to be in order to make sure that we're maintaining a respectful, environment. So all those things are the leader's responsibility when a person's new to a task. So again, the job of the leader is to match his or her leadership style to the needs of the person. So when a person needs a follow-up, to answer your question, a person needs, the follow-up in order to make sure that they are keeping up with the tasks that you've assigned. I mean, the job is just to ask them, where are you in the process, right? And then,
simple.
Yeah, it is that simple, because again, I can't lead that person if I'm not following up and making sure that they're tracking, along the journey of trying to, complete the task. But also, here's the thing: my job as a servant to that follower is to help them grow. So follow up, people have this big bad idea that follow up is all about, big brother watching over you. But no. As a leader, my job is to help people grow to their potential, right? But if I'm not following up to see how well they are tracking in the process of accomplishing whatever the task is that that they've been assigned, then I'm not serving them well. So my job again is to match my leadership style, to be flexible enough to match my leadership style to the needs of the follower so that they can grow to their potential, because it's all about them. It's all about them growing to become a mature person in whatever the task is that they've been assigned. And that's what servant leadership is truly all about.
It's all about them. So then that means how important is it for a leader to know what their style is? And so that means that you have to cross some of those lines, right?
Sure. Well, yes. I mean, the whole goal is to mature to a place where you can be, one who does delegate, right? I mean, that's the whole. Now, I think all of us have a default style, which is why, again, I say, I default to delegating, and it's just again, I've had the privilege of working with high capacity leaders, so I've been able to give focused attention to the things that matter most, that I can engage my skill set with. But again, the leader's job is to really not rest on their laurels in their area, in the what they're naturally inclined to, right? My job as a leader is to be flexible to match my leadership style, again, 4 styles, to the needs of the person. So if a person needs coaching, that means that their development level, so development level is based upon 2 parts. There are 2 words. It's competence and commitment.
Okay.
Okay. Competence is made of two parts, knowledge and skills. Knowledge is what you get through on the job training, right? It's hands-on
Mhm.
work. Skills are what you get through formal education, right?
Okay.
So a
Yep.
person who's a follower has both competence and then they have commitment. Commitment's made up of two parts. It's made up of confidence. Confidence is the person's feeling of being able to do a job well without supervision, but also it's made up of motivation. That's their desire to perform the job, perform the task, right? So my job as a leader is to identify what is the competence and what is the commitment of this follower, right? Because then that tells me what their development level is. And then as a leader, I have to match my attempt to lead them based upon or serve them. And I'm going to intentionally use that word based on their development level. So a person who has a high level of competence and a high level of commitment, I can delegate to them, right? Because they know how to do it and they're motivated to do it, right? But a person who has a low level of competence, but also may have a high level of commitment, right? They're typically new to a job because they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah, right.
So they still need a lot of direction. So my job is to match my leadership style to their need. Conversely, a person who may have been doing a task for a while, their confidence may wane and their commitment may wane.
Yeah.
Just because they realize that they don't know what they thought they knew when they first got started. And so my job as a server, as a leader, again, is to provide the coaching that's necessary to move them up, right? To let them know, hey, listen, I'm here to support you. We're going to do this together, right? Here are the things that you're missing. So let's try to implement them so we can grow to the next level, right? But that's where we miss it. So often we want to lead people the way that we want them to be led,
Yes. Yes.
rather than leading them based upon where they are in their development.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So really you're multiplying, right?
Correct. Yes, correct.
You're multiplying. So
because and you say multiplying because we want people to mature.
For God's sake.
Absolutely. We want them to grow to their potential, right?
Yes.
In their areas of strength. Now, also, again, my job as a leader is to help them identify their areas of strength too. Because we can only grow to an average place in our areas of weakness. All right. That's the whole principle of strengths finders. Right.
Say that again. And I love that.
Yeah, we can only grow to average level in our areas of weakness. But our potential is limitless when we focus on our strengths. So as a leader, my job is to try to help the people that I have the privilege of serving to identify their strengths. And then we focus there to help them grow to their potential, right? Because that's where their greatest fulfillment lives.
Yeah.
In the area of potential, in their area of strength. And so we are in the business of helping people grow to their potential and find fulfillment in the things we're asking them to do.
I love it. I love it. Because you kept saying a lot of things keep saying it's not about me. It's not about us. It's about them. It's about developing them. So how do you lead someone? Suppose someone maybe slips through the cracks, so to speak, and their chemistry does not work out with the culture. How do you lead someone when the chemistry is not even working, even between you and the person, as well as the other people and the person?
Sure. Well, values conversations are, to me, some of the easiest conversations to have. When there's not a match, and if I'm clear about what those values are, I have here on my desk a values card for our organization, right? Okay. And when I can look at these different, things like love, customer satisfaction, integrity, dedication, growth, teamwork, fun, authenticity, health and wellness. When I can look at these things and clearly identify that the behaviors of a person are not matching what's here, the conversation is somewhat easy to have about, we're not a match. We're not gelling. We're not simpatico, right? We're not on the same page. And you might need to find another organization where you can thrive that really matches more of um,
Your value.
more of the values that you espouse, right? And I've had those conversations, and I mean, and I can tell you, those are some of the easiest conversations to have. Some of the harder ones to have are, um, when when you have to either release or reprimand someone who has the best interest of you and the organization in mind, but may not have performed well on the task. Right now, again, as a leader, my job is to serve them, to help them grow to their potential. So the conversation, is a different one because you're trying to help them grow versus someone who's not, living up to the values. It's like, hey, point to this and say, hey, listen, it's just not working out. Let's mutually agree that we're going to serve one another with our absence. So,
I love it. I love it. You're the first person I ever heard said it's easy to release somebody to have the conversation.
Let's be clear.
Value conversation.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. You're still the first person I heard say that, because I don't, that's a method, and it's just being kind to people. Honestly.
Yes.
So Lord, Audrey, I know. Look, we got 4 minutes left. Come on up, Audrey, and let's see what nuggets you pulled. I told you he was gonna flood us with nuggets of wisdom. What'd you get from Dr. Boyd today? Come on with it.
The one that stood out for me the most is your gifts will make room for you. I think that's one that a lot of people tend to forget. They forget that part. But I think also, Dr. Boyd, a lot of people don't even know what those gifts are because they kind of take them for granted. So how do you help people recognize what they are and let them know that this is something that you could actually be doing something with? You could be monetizing this, because we take a lot of things for granted. I do this stuff like breathing, right? And Dr. Chinn reminds me all the time, like, you help me a lot. For me, this is just like breathing. So how do you help people recognize that this is their gift, and how do they let the gift make room for them? How do they take that and move forward?
Sure. Well, one of the books that I referenced a little bit ago was called the Strengths Finder. I do recommend that people go through the Strengths Finder assessment and identify what their talents are. Now, so strengths are the outcome of talents that have been developed, right? As we develop our talent, they become strengths for us. Now, your question is really the better part of your question is, how do I identify what my talent areas are, right? Because when I identify my talent areas, I can then focus on developing those into strengths that can ultimately, earn money for me, right? Can work in my favor, right? That's how the gifts make room for you. So Strength Finder is a great resource that I do encourage people to do. It's a book that when once you've read it, there's an assessment that you take, and then it identifies your top 10 strengths. Let me say it differently, your top 10 talent areas. And again, once you identify your talent areas, then when you invest in those talent areas, you ultimately can turn those talents into strengths that can then add value to you as you as an individual. Also, they make you more valuable, so you can add greater value to your organization.
I love it. We have a question here from Donna Parrish. I don't know if you all can see it. What advice, Dr. Boyd, would you give someone who has leadership unwilling to adapt their leadership style to those they're responsible for and leading?
Yeah, so let me be clear. You cannot make any one person do anything. Okay. One of the books that John Maxwell wrote years ago is called 360-Degree Leader. And the whole point of the book is, it's about leading up, it's about leading down, it's about leading side to side, right? And so as a follower, I do have there is a leadership, believe it or not, there is a leadership that we can do with our leaders for sure, right? But you can only lead to the point of your relational equity. And so, so if there is a strength of relationship between the follower and the leader, and you have the ability to speak to that leader about the things that you recognize in yourself and the way that you best receive and learn and grow, having that conversation with the leader is very appropriate. Very appropriate. Again, as leader, we also are on a development pathway.
Yeah. Yeah, we should be.
God bless us all. None of us are perfect. That's why, again, it's incumbent upon us to read books, right? To have experiences, to meet people, right? That will help shape us and develop us. That's how our lives are shaped. But again, as a follower, if there is relational equity with that leader and there's a mutual trust, such that when you speak to the leader, they won't receive what you have to say as insubordinate or, spewing out noise. If that is indeed the nature of the relationship, then I think you can have the conversation about how you best learn and how you best grow so that they can be more intentional about helping you grow to your potential.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Audrey, do we have time to give Pastor Boyd the last word?
Yes, we do.
All right.
Well, good. Well, thank you again for allowing me to share time today. I'm grateful. I do hope that something that was said can be a blessing to someone who's listening today. I do want to just thank Dr. Chinn for the opportunity and privilege of sharing this time. I just, as an individual, we have responsibility to add value to ourselves, right? Nobody can do that for you. Right. As an individual, you have to take responsibility for adding value to yourself. Now, as you add value to yourself, you make yourself more valuable. Right. You make yourself more valuable. When you make yourself more valuable, you increase your worth. And then you can add greater value to the organization where you are. And you can also add greater value to yourself. And so my challenge to each of you is to add value to yourself. Add value to yourself. Again, the way you do that is by reading books, having new experiences, and meeting new people that will ultimately shape your life. And when you do that, don't be surprised if you are finding yourself before men and women who have greatness on the inside of them, who will open doors for you that no man can shut.
Awesome.
What a great ending.
Yes.
That's a great ending. Thank you so much. Now you're getting messages at the very last minute. Okay, there you go. Thank you so much. Blessed with the last 3 minutes. They've been listening. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Dr. Boyd. Thank you, Dr. Chinn, for always bringing us amazing guests. Listen, the QR code right on your screen right there. Click that code. Scan that QR code, because what that's going to do is take you back to Dr. Chinn's podcast page, and you can subscribe there. This way you never miss an episode. And do us a favor, share it with 2 friends. It's free, not 1, 2. It is free. Share with 2 friends. We'll be back in 2 weeks, same place, same time. So don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next guest, because again, we promise to bring you the best, always the best. Thank you all again. Dr. Chinn, thank you. Dr. Boyd, thank you. Until next time.
Thank you all. Appreciate you. Love and peace.
All right. Bye, everybody.
You've been listening to Keeping It Real with Dr. Linda Chinn. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button and share it with a friend. Be sure to support the show by going to lindachinnministries.com. Subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode, and tune in again in 2 weeks at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, keep the faith and keep it real.